We've been a leader in banking for more than 100 years. You'll find us here, at home, on your phone, and everywhere you go. Renaissance Bank. Understanding you. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Sponsored by Renaissance Bank.
Good morning and welcome to Daily Journal Newsbreak, sponsored by Renaissance Bank. Today's Tuesday, July 31st, and I'm your host, Elizabeth Walters. We're going to take a look at today's top news and sports stories from Northeast Mississippi, but first let's start with your weather forecast. Today we'll have scattered thunderstorms developing in the afternoon with a high of 85, and we'll have about a 40% chance of rain. Over the next 3 days, on Wednesday it'll be cloudy with a high of 87 and a low of 69. On Thursday, 50% chance of thunderstorms with a high of 87 and a low of 68. And on Friday, partly cloudy with a high of 87 and a low of 70. Now let's take a look at today's top stories. Secretary of State Delbert Hosemann wants local voters to know that their ballots count and are safe from disruption attempts. Speaking before the Tupelo Rotary Club, Hosemann said he's been focused on cybersecurity efforts for several years, and the last presidential election strengthened his resolve to continue such measures. Hosemann said the state has probably 2,000 to 3,000 active penetration attempts a month, and encryption, additional firewalls, and two-factor authentication are now in place to guard Mississippi's election infrastructure. While he vouches for the safety of electronic voting, Hosemann also said some counties may want to consider looking at paper ballots. Lee County is one of 7 counties currently using paper ballots. Hosemann wants to see more interest in November's election after about 13% of registered voters participated in last month's primary. Beginning next month, a specialized ambulance and its team will begin work to help transfer critically injured and ill to North Mississippi Medical Center Tupelo from area hospitals and from Tupelo to higher levels of care in Memphis, Birmingham, and Jackson. The critical care transport will serve as an extension of its emergency department and intensive care unit and will allow hospitals to keep more ambulances in area counties. Currently, when CareFlight isn't available, the hospital has to pull ambulances from their regular stations to provide critical care ground transports. On average, there are about 30 to 40 requests for critical care transfers each month that CareFlight cannot respond to. The critical care transport will be stocked with blood products, carry a ventilator, and be able to sedate patients if needed and adjust pain medication. The team on board is drawn from a pool of nurses, paramedics, and emergency medical technicians. Many of the nurses normally work in the emergency department, ICU, or CareFlight. And Kim Hopkins is well known in her home district, but now the 3-time Tupelo Schools Parent of the Year has been recognized by the region. Hopkins was recently selected as the Parent of the Year for Mississippi's 1st Congressional District, which covers 21 counties in northeast Mississippi. At Tupelo High, Hopkins works with the Student Council for teacher appreciation events and for all levels of the district. She is a member of the Principal's Advisory Committee and chaperones field trips. She also volunteers for the PTO to help students with class registration, tutor, and read to elementary students. Her youngest son, Jacob, graduated from Tupelo High in May, but she plans to stay involved in the district as she now has grandchildren in school. And in sports, football practice started on Monday for area high schools, and the Daily Journal sports team has the region covered. We visited 9 schools yesterday, checking in on the Golden Wave, the defending 5A state champs in West Point, as well as Myrtle, Baldwin, North Pontotoc, and Itawamba. You can read about each online at djournal.com, and be sure to follow our high school sports coverage on Twitter at djournalpreps. And that does it for Newsbreak on this Tuesday. Don't forget that this show is just one of the many online offerings courtesy of the Daily Journal that gets you news off the page and on the go. Each story discussed today on Newsbreak can be found in your Daily Journal and online at djournal.com, where you can also find a new episode of Newsbreak each weekday morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Elizabeth Walters. Have a great Tuesday.